Hi, welcome back for the training. Today I'm going to show you how to do sales for the client having VRN, TIN number, address, and the name. Switch it on as I have trained you. The machine will print the short receipt and write write Mauzo or Manunuz. Change the language in English, press EN/SWE. The machine will ask you to choose number 1 English, number 2 Kiswahili. I choose in English. So the machine will tell me registration mode. In registration mode is where you can do sales. Let me remind you, to get more modes, press mode, mode, mode. You will see a lot of modes. Make sure your machine is reading registration mode to do sales. The next step, write password, which is 100,000. The next step, press total. The next step, choose number 1 sales. The next step, press dot to prepare you to write the TIN number. The next step, write your client TIN number. This is my client TIN number. The next step, press button PY1. The machine will ask you to write the VRN number. Write your client VRN number if it's existing. If it is not there, skip by pressing total. Then let me write my client VRN number, which is maybe this 40 ending with letter P. In typing the letter, the first character you press the single pressing on the button. The second character, press SH, then the button. Let's say my VRN number is ending with letter P. I press SH, then P. Then next step, I press total. The machine will ask me to write the client address. Let me say my address of the client is Dar es Salaam. I press DAS space 00 ES space 00 SALAM. This is my client address. The next step, I press total. I write my client name. Let me say my client name is Shivam. I press S, Shivam. The next step, I press total. Machine will ask me client set. This is where I proceed with my sales. I press dot. I write my quantities. Let me say I sold 2 quantities. The next step, I press button QTY. The next step, I write the selling amount directly. Let me say 1,000. The next step, I press button PRC. The next step, I press item code number. Let's say code number 3. The next step, I press button PLU. A small receipt will print with my initial company details and my client details, my client name, address, TIN number, and my client VRN and the receipt details. If I'm sure, I press total. If I'm not sure, I cancel by pressing SH00. For example, I'm having the same customer is in need of this next item. Then I press dot. I write the quantities, let's say 2. I press QTY. I press dot. I write selling amount directly. Let me say 400. The next step, I press button PRC. The next step, I write the next code number. Let's say number 1. The next step, I press PLU. Then to get the subtotal of my items, then I press STL. It will take the sum of all the items I sold If I'm sure, I press total. If I'm not sure, I cancel by pressing sh00. Let's say I'm sure, I press total. Thank you. Welcome for the next training.